All right, well, welcome back to a home version edition here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the view. I'm back here in Asia after a month traveling back in Canada. It's great to be home. As you can see, the beautiful beach here behind me. And welcome to another episode of Self-Developed Life. My name's Quentin Carlin, your host. This is a place to get educated, inspired, and empowered to help you live your most self-developed, self-aware, and leveled up lifestyle. So today's topic is one that I've been kind of contemplating doing for a while now, and seeing how I am back at the end of summer and people have kind of been drinking and partying a lot. I want to talk about how and why I have actually been sober for the last 20 months, almost coming up on 2 years. It was January 1st, 2017 was when I made a decision that said, hey, I want to go 1 month alcohol-free, no drinking, and just test it out, just kind of see how that would feel and see what the results would be like. And that 1 month has turned into almost 2 years. So this is just going to be an episode where I share, the ups and downs, the pros and cons of testing this out. And if you so inclined to try this out yourself, it might give you some motivation to do so. So first of all, just to put it out there, was I an alcoholic? No, absolutely not. It was just basically a challenge to myself to say, hey, why don't we do a month without any alcohol and see how that goes? And another disclaimer, have I not had alcohol in the last almost 2 years? No. What I define as sober is being just that, sober. When I go out, I will have 1 or 2 drinks. I think the max I had was 3 or 4. And it's been basically amazing, being hangover free. And during this time, I've done a ton of traveling. I was in Australia for a month. Australia is notorious for being a hardcore beer drinking party central, especially in the surf community. I was there surfing in Byron Bay, which is the Gold Coast is party central. So I was there during the winter. No alcohol. Not saying no alcohol. I would go out, I would have a beer or 2. Living here in South Korea, this is the biggest consumer of alcohol in the world. These 50 million Koreans consume more alcohol than 350 million Americans. I'm going to say that again. The population of Korea consumes more alcohol than any country in the world. And mostly this thing right here, soju. This is the most powerful and strongest alcohol I would probably say on the planet. And I have probably drank hundreds of these bottles in my almost 8 years being a resident here. And that's a big reason why I stopped drinking, to be honest. These hangovers were vicious. It was the worst because it is kind of like a chemical concoction that is super potent and you just get wasted. And if you want to see how wasted people do get, I encourage you to Google a website called Blackout Korea, or just search in Google, just say Google Blackout Korea, and you will see guys in a business suit passed out on the street, and it's usually in front of my street here. This is the main party central of almost the whole country, Guanali Beach, especially in summertime. It just goes wild here. And the thing was, after living here for, I'll say almost 2 years ago, for the first 6 years, I was partying a lot. Did I have a problem? No, but I think everyone here is borderline, I don't want to say alcoholic, but basically the definition of an alcoholic is someone who has more than, I think, 4 drinks, I believe. And that's just getting warmed up here. So I suggest people take a look and take into account how much you're drinking and why you're drinking. For a lot of people, it's to reduce social anxiety. When you're out at functions or events or parties, it kind of opens up your ability to communicate and connect and relax to connect with people. However, one of the benefits that I've experienced over the last 2 years is I have not had a problem doing that. I'm a pretty open an outgoing, confident guy who has no problem going to parties or clubs sober and talking to people. And that's what I've been doing. I've still been going out, I've definitely reduced the amount that I do go out. But when I do go out, it's, I stay out as long as my friends that are just pounding booze all night. The other thing I've noticed is the incredible amount of money I've saved. Drinking's not cheap. And if you take that activity out of your routine, you're definitely going to notice your wallet being happier and your body being healthier. So I really suggest, and what got me started on this, a friend of mine named James Swanwick, you can Google his program. He's got a program called 30-Day No Alcohol Challenge. Just Google in 30-Day No Alcohol Challenge, James Swanwick. And he does this challenge every month to help people cut back or either stop drinking. I actually didn't go through his program because I'm kind of a stubborn person that says, hey, I can do it myself, which, worked for me. But other people that may want support around this, and I want to offer something else. If this is an area where you do want support, I'm going to offer some coaching or consulting and helping people kind of be in your corner, not like what is that, an AA sponsor. Like I don't really sponsor people. I didn't go through that process per se. But I think that it's a big challenge in a lot of people's lives that if they get this part of their lives handled and more under control, they could really produce a lot better results, either in their career, in their physical health, in their relationships, in their mood. Alcohol is a depressant. It really, I can't tell you how many Saturdays and Sundays, or even if I'm honest, Thursdays and Fridays, I would wake up just feeling like crap because I was out partying. And the thing is, the parties don't stop here till 6 a.m. Like I live in Asia, which is a whole different scene as far as nightlife goes. And I would, be out all night and coming up when the sun's coming up regularly, routinely when I first moved here. And that's just kind of how it goes, living in this kind of fast-paced, party hard lifestyle where you don't really have too many other options. It's either go to a bar or go to a club. Those are like your two options on the weekend. There's not a lot of other dynamics and things to do socially. So a lot of people ask, what is dating life being sober? And that's one of the biggest kind of challenges, because usually when you do meet someone, you go for drinks to get to know each other. Things just kind of, start there, and that is kind of the norm. But if I'm not really into that, what have I been doing? And luckily, like I said earlier, like I have no problem. And a lot of people have problem meeting people if they don't drink, because they go out and the only way a guy can approach a girl is if he's had a few beers for liquid courage, quote unquote. For me, my last few relationships have come, actually always have come just organically. Meeting someone at the beach during the day, those interactions are a lot higher quality than just being some drunk dude at a bar just hitting on a girl like 100 other guys. So I feel that dating has actually improved because the interactions are more quality, and you're more selective, and you just have a better conversation, and doing things like outdoor activities, going for hikes, going to art classes, painting, stuff like that, right? So there's a lot of ways around it. However, I still go out for a couple glasses of wine for sure, or have a beer at dinner, no problem. But like I said, I'm not going hard and, drinking a bottle of soju or this. And this is what I wanted to show you too. This here was something I got 2 years ago, and it's literally been sitting in my apartment for 2 years. And like the few drinks that have been poured out of this were for guests. So, this is kind of like I feel it's kind of like my Thor hammer, actually. If you're watching on the YouTube, I'm holding up a big bottle of Costco vodka that I got that has been in my apartment here for a long time. Since I have been on this, I guess, personal quest of sobriety. And, in this time I've been to the Philippines, I went back home to Canada, I went to Vietnam, I've been Australia for the winter. So I've been doing a lot of traveling, and that's the hard part too, because when you go out, you want to kind of indulge. And there's a couple times I did go out and definitely had a good time, and kind of, had a couple more drinks than normal. But the whole thing for me was just being completely sober. And I guess the reason for this is just to kind of, like, the whole point of this podcast is being self-developed. You're not gonna have your best, highest quality lifestyle if you're in bed hungover all the time. And I did enough of that in my, younger days, and I just wanted to see what life would be like if I just had never had a hangover again. And it's been wonderful, especially on the weekends. Being a Christian, waking up going to church hungover isn't the most spiritual thing to be doing, and I've done that enough. And I just wanted a new experience and wake up earlier, have my weekends, productive, healthy, not in bed ordering McDonald's, crushing Tylenol and Gatorade. So, I hope that this inspires other people listening to take a look at your relationship with alcohol. I'm nowhere near saying that everyone should stop drinking. I still love it. I go out for a couple beers with the boys every now and then. But the thing is just keeping it in check. And on another note, you can just really see that a lot of, people's darkest moments come from being out of control. How many careers have been ruined by somebody, getting behind the wheel, or life's ruined someone getting behind the wheel and driving home and getting in an accident or hurting or killing somebody else, right? That's extreme. But let's look at even what has created strains on relationships when someone is having a conversation with someone, things get heated, there's, the booze is flowing, and then you say something that you can't take back, and maybe that hurts or ends a relationship. Or you make a decision when you're out at a club, and then you're getting a little too close with someone else, and then you end up going home together, and you end up cheating on your, partner or husband or boyfriend. There's just, I look back at my life, I'm like, what were a lot of the drama triggers in my past? And a lot of it came from just like being dumb and being out partying and drinking and going too hard or too fast, and things kind of spiral out of control. So no, I just want to put that out there. Did not have a drinking problem. It was more of a challenge to myself to see what life would be like if booze was taken out, and to say, will I never get wasted again? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But for right now, I look back on the last almost 2 years of, being sober, and, let's look, I've invested in a property in the Philippines. I've gotten heavily involved in cryptocurrency investing, and I wrote a book about blockchain and crypto. I've started this podcast and YouTube channel. I have a whole business model of what I want to be creating with my life from here on out with my next project. I've been enjoying my work. I've been saving money and not going out so much. It just seems like a lot of the pros that I've been checking have outweighed the cons. I've had some amazing relationships, gone on some great dates with great girls, had some great nights out with friends. So my social life hasn't really been lacking that much. And a lot of times when you do go out, people don't even know that you're not drinking. Like I'll have I might have a beer, or two, but it'll be the same beer or two that I'm carrying around the whole night. You know what I mean? Like I'll have a drink in my hand, but I'm just kind of having 2 drinks when everyone else is pounding 6 or 8. So it's things like that. A lot of people don't even notice, right? The other thing I would say is, if you are going out and you don't want to drink at all, is have a vodka, or not vodka, just have a soda water with lime or lemon in it. It looks like a regular cocktail. And am I saying I'm against drinking? Not at all. Like, I just did an interview with one of my best friends, who's one of the top bartenders in the world, that I'll be releasing on a previous episode. that talks about, you know, just the whole nightlife and bartender industry. And I used to be a bartender, you know, like I love the social aspects to drinking. It's awesome. It just kind of brings together community. But for me, I just wanted to try something different. And I think one of the things that's a shame in Korea that they really should have is I look at the dynamics in Vancouver, where now downtown there are more weed cafes than coffee shops. And Vancouver used to be totally famous for having all these Starbucks and coffee shops downtown. The majority of them have been converted into marijuana dispensaries and weed cafes. And I think that is what society is going to start transitioning more out of the alcohol scene, because this stuff is like poison. Even my buddy that works for Bacardi that I interviewed, he's like, yeah, booze is poison. You know, he's like weed and marijuana is actually so much healthier for you, and I totally agree with that. Unfortunately, where I live, it's like super illegal and impossible to find here. But I think this country, more than any country in the world, needs an option to booze, because the number of people that like this bridge over here, one of my friend's brothers jumped off this bridge when he was drunk because he got in a fight with his girlfriend. People aren't really jumping off bridges because they're stoned. They're watching Netflix and ordering Domino's, right? So this whole concept around alcohol is a social norm, where weed is like this taboo, you know, kind of junky, lowbrow activity, I think is going to start changing for the better. You know, it's not like I'm a huge pothead or weed supporter. I just think that people should have options, and alcohol is definitely not the best option for, you know, look at the amount of fights and just crazy shit that happens when people drink too much. You know, just go on the Instagram page, drunk people doing things. You know, drunk people doing things is a big Instagram page. I look at it and I'm just like, it makes me never want to drink again. You know, like watching these idiots, you know, I'm just like, and I was one of those idiots before, you know, like I'm just like, I can't condone and judge it, and I don't, but it just kind of makes it crystal clear on how society says that, hey, going out and drinking 10 beers is fine, but smoking a joint and watching a movie is like illegal. So that's just my rant, maybe because I'm from the West Coast and growing up around that kind of scene made me question it. And that's what this podcast is for, questioning the norm and figuring out the best way to create a life that works for you. And right now, this is working for me. If it will in the future, who knows? Right now, I enjoy it. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. And I just encourage people, if you want support around this, feel free to DM me and we can work together on a program. Or I can introduce you to James's program, the 30-Day No Alcohol Challenge, or just get together with a group of your friends and say, hey, I'm going to do a 30 days clean, like sober October, right? We're going into September now. Maybe you want to do a sober October, 30 days, no alcohol. And then you can go and kick it off on Halloween and go have a rager, right? But for me, I just saw that my life is a lot more productive, a lot healthier, happier, and wealthier without the booze. But I still like going out for a drink or a dinner date or something like that for a glass of wine, but keeping it in check, and that's kind of what it's all about. So wanted to rip off this short solo episode here. Leave your comments below if you've ever done anything like this. Maybe some tips or techniques for other people that might be wanting to get started in it. Share your experiences. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel on YouTube or iTunes. Thanks so much for tuning in and your support, and have an amazing day. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep your life self-developed.